Peppa Pig may be a beloved children's show, but if you look closely, you'll find some mysteries that don't quite add up. Like, why does Mr. Fox have a way of showing up exactly when you least expect it? Almost like he knows something the others don't. In the episode Night Animals, Grandpa Pig tucks in his chickens and casually mentions that some animals hunt at night. And just as he says it, Mr. Fox appears out of nowhere. A coincidence? Maybe, but foxes are known for sneaking into farms. So, was he just passing through? Or was there a reason he showed up at that exact moment? And that's not the only odd thing about him. In the episode The Police Station, there's a poster outside with fox symbols on both sides. It's never explained, but Mr. Fox's shop logo looks eerily similar. Is he a wanted character? Or is there something about foxes in Peppa's world that we don't know? Then, there's his son, Freddie Fox. Unlike his dad, Freddie seems drawn to the law. In one scene, Peppa and Susie imagine their future, and we see an older Freddie, already working as a police officer. If that's true, does that mean he could arrest his own father one day? If so, Mr. Fox might want to keep his business dealings extra quiet. Most families in Peppa's world live on top of steep hills. There's a reason for that. It keeps them safe from floods, but then there's the rabbit family. Instead of a house on a hill, they live underground in a burrow, and that raises a lot of questions. In one episode, Richard Rabbit visits Peppa's house. When he sees the stairs, he's terrified, which is odd because he's never had to use them before. The next day, Peppa and George visit the rabbit family, and things get even stranger. Instead of a regular house, they find a tunnel leading into the hill. No stairs, no front door, just a dirt path straight into the ground. So why is the rabbit family's home so different? Are they just great at digging? Did they decide hills weren't for them? Or does Peppa's world have an unspoken rule about where certain animals should live? There's something odd about George's name, and it's making fans wonder, was he really born into the pig family? Almost every character in Peppa's world follows a pattern. Their names match their animal type. Danny Dog, Pedro Pony, Rebecca Rabbit. Even Peppa fits the rule with her name, Peppa Pig. But George? His name doesn't follow the pattern at all. If he was part of the family from the start, wouldn't they have picked a name like Patrick or Peter? One theory is that George was adopted. If he already had a name before joining the pigs, it would explain why he's an exception. In Edmund Elephant's birthday, his full name is written as George Pig. But what if that was just an assumption? Maybe the elephants just guessed his last name, thinking it had to match Peppa's. Of course, there are other characters who don't follow the pattern either, like Peppa's cousins, Chloe and Alexander. So maybe it's nothing more than a simple name choice. Or maybe, just maybe, there's a family secret Peppa's parents aren't telling us. Edmund Elephant is supposedly the same age as George, but something doesn't add up. While George is still figuring out basic words, Edmund is casually explaining the solar system. He knows about gravity, dinosaurs, and all sorts of complicated things. For a 2-year-old, that's impressive, maybe a little too impressive. This has led some fans to wonder, was Edmund really born the same year as George? Some believe he might actually be the same age as his older sister Emily. Others suggest he could be even older, but just happens to be small for his age. One theory even claims Edmund might have had dwarfism, which would explain his advanced knowledge while still keeping him the same height as the other toddlers. Of course, Peppa Pig isn't exactly known for realistic age differences. After all, Daddy Pig and Grandpa Pig look nearly the same. So maybe Edmund is just really smart for his age. Or maybe he's secretly a genius in disguise. Mr. Wolf's constant obsession with food seems innocent at first, until you start noticing the little details. He's always talking about meals, especially when he's alone with Daddy Pig. Is he just a big eater, or is there something else going on? In the episode 3 Bowls of Porridge, Mr. Wolf runs into the pig family and casually mentions he's looking for a place to eat lunch. Nothing strange there. But later, he's seen leaving Grandma Pig's house, and that's when things start feeling off. What exactly did he eat? And why don't we ever see Grandma Pig again in that episode? Then there's the episode The New House, where Daddy Pig and his team build a house for the Wolf family. Mr. Wolf asks if it's made of straw or wood, and when he hears it's made of bricks, he doesn't just accept it, he blows on the house, just like in the old fairy tale. Maybe it was just for fun. Or maybe he was hoping for a different outcome. Even Peppa notices the similarities. In the episode Wendy Wolf's Birthday, she comments on Grandma Wolf's big ears, mimicking Little Red Riding Hood. But instead of mentioning teeth for eating people, she changes it to eating cake. A safe choice. But the way she says it makes you wonder. And if that wasn't enough, Wendy's birthday cake even has a tiny wooden house on top, one that she gleefully blows down. Looks like the Wolf family isn't exactly trying to hide their instincts. One thing that doesn't quite add up in Peppa Pig: why is George in the same class as Peppa when he's so much younger? Peppa is 4 and George is only 2. Yet they both attend Madame Gazelle's school together. Most schools separate students by age. So how did George end up in Peppa's class? Is he just incredibly smart for his age? Or did Madame Gazelle make an exception for him? Some fans have suggested a different theory. What if Peppa has been held back a grade or two? The show never really explains how schooling works in their world, but if Peppa struggled in class, it could explain why she and George are learning together. Then again, George isn't exactly ahead of his peers. He barely speaks full sentences, still clings to his dinosaur, and cries over the smallest things. Maybe the school system in Peppa's world just works differently, allowing siblings to stay together. Or maybe Madame Gazelle is running the most flexible classroom ever. Either way, it's hard to ignore the fact that Peppa and George are learning side by side, even when George is still figuring out how to say words properly. Susie Sheep has been Peppa's best friend since the very beginning, but there's one thing about her that's never been explained. Where is her dad? We've met Mummy Sheep, who appears in multiple episodes, but Susie's father is nowhere to be seen. Unlike other families in Peppa Pig, where both parents are usually present, Susie's home life seems to be missing a key piece of the puzzle. What makes this even stranger is how close Susie's family is to Peppa's. Mummy Pig and Mummy Sheep had been best friends for years, so surely Peppa's family would know about Susie's dad. Yet, not once has he been mentioned. No pictures, no stories, not even a passing reference. Some fans believe Susie's dad might have moved away or isn't in the picture for another reason. Others think the show simply never created a character for him, leaving a strange gap in Susie's family tree. Whatever the case, the absence is hard to ignore. So, was Susie's dad just forgotten by the creators? Or is there a hidden backstory we'll never know? In the fire engine episode, everything seems normal at first. Daddy Pig and his friends gather for a barbecue, ready to enjoy some grilled food. But when you take a closer look at the guest list, things start to feel a little off. Among the attendees, we have Mr. Zebra, Mr. Rabbit, and Mr. Pony. Animals that you'd expect to stick to a plant-based diet. But then there's Mr. Bull and Daddy Pig, and that's where things get weird. What exactly is being cooked at this barbecue? If it's just veggies, then no problem. But if it's meat, that raises some uncomfortable questions. Peppa's world never shows where meat comes from, and given that everyone in this universe is an animal, that's probably for the best. It's not just this one episode either. Characters have been seen eating bacon, sausages, and other meaty foods without a second thought. So, where does the food actually come from? Do animals in Peppa's world have their own version of farms? Or is there some sort of unspoken rule about where they don't get their food? By now, we've all come to accept that Madame Gazelle is most likely a vampire, but that's just one piece of the mystery. Her home has always looked a little off, leaning at an odd angle as if it's been standing there for centuries. And then there's the real puzzle. Inside her house, hanging on the wall, is an old black and white photo of a male gazelle. Given its placement, it seems important. Could this be her husband? If so, where is he now? We've never seen him, and Madame Gazelle never mentions him. If she really is immortal, does that mean he was too? And if he was, what happened to him? There are a few possibilities. Maybe, after living for centuries, he decided he'd had enough and disappeared into the night. Or perhaps something else happened. Something Madame Gazelle doesn't talk about. If she's been around for generations, could this be a long-lost love from another era? Or worse, was he a victim of her vampiric ways? Those are just some of the biggest unanswered questions in Peppa Pig. Who knows what other secrets are hiding in plain sight? See you in the next video.